Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me while we look into some fun commander cards, starting with more commanders. Let's get to it. So, the first commander that we have is Thanos the Weaver. 3 colorless, 1 black, 1 green, 1 red for a 5/5 vigilance with reach spider. Not bad. All creatures attack each combat if able. Or whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, put a +1/+1 counter on Thanos the Warweaver. Now, this commander is fun for you, but more importantly, it helps move the game along. And you're not going to hear too many complaints coming from a card like this on average, because it's not exactly a broken commander. The aim of this commander is to just get everyone attacking and making sure that things are happening. Now, whether or not that means that someone unlucky is going to get attacked, that might be true, but it's far more, maybe not random, but far more impossible to stop. So there's no real hard feelings. Even when this card is out, they're not going to really even think of you as the biggest issue. The card itself is powerful, but it's not broken. And I actually think it's a really good one to bring into game every now and then. Just, especially if you got someone that just does not want to attack or do anything useful, just sits there. Maybe get one of these cards in and make sure that they can at least have some input on the game. So cards like this are great. One out of 3 people will actually have to do something that they would normally do. And sometimes it just works out better for everyone. Next card is the next card is Gratama, All Devouring. 3 colorless, 2 green for a legendary creature worm other creatures have. Whenever this creature attacks, you may have it fight Gratama All Devouring. When Gratama leaves the battlefield, each player draws cards equal to the amount of damage dealt to Gratama this turn by sources they controlled. This card is fun, mainly because it becomes all of a sudden challenge to try to take out this worm by one of the players, but the amount of resources they normally use is going to be high. So I think it's very impressive that they can choose, because they say whenever this creature attacks, you may have it fight Gratama. It doesn't have to, and the thing is, whenever it blocks, it's obviously going to kill the creature anyways because it's a 10/8 for 5 mana. Amazing value. But when it does fight and then lose, a lot of people are going to get the benefit of the damage dealt. So people are going to be holding up removal, the benefit of destroying the worm, and it actually creates another kind of game within the game itself and lets people interact far more often on the field. Now, it's a pretty cheap card for how powerful it is. I'm talking about more the mana curve, not that card itself, sitting at $5. But, and so that means you can bring him out pretty easily, especially in a green deck. I think this card is pretty unique in the way that it changes the way people play the game when this is a commander. It's good fun. Try it out. Next, Meddler. 1 white, 1 blue for a 1/3 legendary creature rabbit wizard. Wait, what? That's that can't be 2 of us. Anyways, interesting. I'll follow up on the rabbit wizard. I totally forgot about that actually. He has tap. Each player draws a card. Then each player who drew a card this way gains 1 life. This card is just a good way to get everyone interacting, get everyone to make sure they hit what they need, and to also value you as a player on the table. Because when you tap this guy and everyone gets a card, and you don't do much else with him except be nice and give everyone cards, they're pretty much going to not maybe leave you alone to just win the game, but they won't come after you straight away. And this guy isn't a big threat by himself. So I think a card like this is just good group friendly. But while that's happening, everyone can feel the advantage of the card like this. So great card, very, very simple. He's a rabbit wizard. I pretty much need to make sure that I have a foil version of him at this point. But yeah, I think it's good fun. So check him out. I'm going through these pretty fast actually. Gore Maldrock. Gore Maldrock, Amphinologist. 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue for a 3/2. Legendary Human Scout. You and permanents you control have protection from salamanders. At the beginning of your end step, each player who controls the fewest creature creates a 4/3 blue salamander warrior creature token. Great card, really fun. The creature tokens might cause you some issues, especially if there's doubling seasons or something on their side, but they can't really come after you very easily. They don't have trample or anything like that. So as long as you have ways to block it, you cannot lose any of your creatures. Actually, it even says you, so you can't even take damage from these salamanders by the looks of it. As long as you have this guy on the field, if he dies and they swing at you with salamanders, that's going to hurt a bit. But until then, you're giving them some value that they're going to be able to use against others until this creature goes. Until this Gore Maldrock goes, you're not going to have any issues. So I think this is a really fun card. It doesn't always work out the way you want. You might want to protect this guy in other ways because you really need him on the field. You're giving them a lot of power every turn. And you are giving the weakest person a lot of power, which means that they can be nice to you and probably protect you or like not come after you. But it's still something that you're going to watch out for as the turns go by. Because it doesn't say, oh, when they get to 5 creatures, stop giving them salamanders. Now it happens every turn. So keep an eye on it. But I think this is a fun card. And it might change the way the game plays as always. Karmi of the Crescent Moon. It's a 2 blue, 1/3. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. So everyone gets to draw 2 cards at the start of their turn. Great card. Creepy art. I will admit, the art is pretty creepy. He's got a very, very creepy grin on his face. But I think this is one of those cards that just simple, goes into almost any blue group hug deck. Like, blue is one of those weird ones where it being group huggy doesn't really give anyone too much happiness because blue is just an annoying color to play against. But if you play it right and you got the right cards in there, this is just the icing on the cake. And it really does stop people from coming after you or just expect you to play counter spells and bounce spells all day long. So, fun card, and I actually think that this is one that should be tried. It's pretty much a Howling Minds as your commander. You know, he can come back out so often, and everyone drawing a card with no limitation on tapping him or any other like wording updates. It just makes it easier to play this guy than almost anything else, and you can easily build a deck around this guy as well. Shizuku, Color of Autumn. So next is Shizuku, Color of Autumn. 1 colorless, 2 green for a 2/3 legendary creature, Snake Shaman. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player adds 3 green to his or her mana pool. This mana doesn't cause mana burn, which is something that we don't have to worry about anymore. Until end of turn, this mana doesn't empty from that player's mana base as the phase ends. So, everyone gets 3 green or colorless mana. It's going to change the game a lot. It's not as powerful as just putting whatever you have in your hand, but this kind of spell or ability pretty much speeds everyone's turn by 3 mana before it's your turn. It is one of the problems with this card is the fact that it doesn't advantage you the turn it comes out. It gives an advantage to everyone else, which actually a lot of these cards do. You just hope that everyone's nice on your table. And even if they're not, they get the advantage is just for 1 turn and then comes around to you. But a card like this will be looked upon as speeding the game up, which is always seen as good, especially if you played enough commander, and also letting people do things that they wouldn't normally be able to do. There should be huge grins around the table whenever you play a card like this. Next. Xrays, the Withering Storm. 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue, 1 red for a 3/5 flying. Whenever an opponent draws a card except the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. Whenever the snake deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. Easy, straightforward. The name is a massive pain, but it does give the player who's taking the damage something. It gives you something while also being able to deal commander damage. Between all of that, it's actually a really good card and helps make sure that everyone understands what it is that you can do and what you're bringing for them. Letting them take the hit means that slowly you can sneak up the damage, but they're getting cards. They're getting value out of what you're doing. So you can hit the person that needs cards and just be like, hey, you need more land cards? I'm going to swing at you. And then you have benefits for your snake tokens. You can pump them up, you can double them, you can do whatever you want on your side as well. And you can draw cards whenever you want. It's a win-win. This card is amazing. Next, Gahiji, Honored One. 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 green, 1 white. Legendary creature beast. Whenever creature attacks one of your opponents or a planeswalker an opponent controls, that creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. It's a 4/4. This creature is going to get a bit of hate, mainly because it pretty much is a complete disadvantage to everyone else on the table. They have to attack each other to get this advantage. And when they attack each other, they have to block each other's creatures because otherwise the damage is really going to stack up. But it once again speeds up the game, gets people interacting far more than normal for a commander game. And I think the advantage is still there to try this out in the red, green, white colors and just see how much of a difference it makes for your playgroup. You can never be too sure what's going to happen, but your playgroup might play differently than what you expected. And that's what I love about all of these cards is you put them on the field, some people gasp, some people laugh, some people are like cheering because they get something out of it and they're land starved. But then the way they interact with it is they either come after you because of something like this, or they try to play around and make sure that they can get the best benefit out of this kind of card. So I'm always interested when it comes to pushing what cards do for your opponents. Sometimes they just come after you. And then you just go, okay, well, that was a $2 card, and I cannot play that again because they just hate it. Kalia is one of those cards which I don't think it deserves the hate as long as you're not playing Master of Cruelties, but it gets a lot of hate. Yeah, it gets a lot of hate. Premicorn, Sky Rampart. 1 blue, 1 red, 1 white for a 1/5 flying defender. As the Sky Rampart enters the battlefield, choose left or right. Each player may attack only the nearest opponent in the chosen direction and planeswalkers controlled by that opponent. Amazing, hilarious card. Now this, I think this is a planes. Is it planes chase, which like you go to different planes and it causes you to do certain things each turn, like you get extra mana. This pretty much, these kinds of commanders slot in for plane chase card. They pretty much got the plane chase text on them and says, when you play this commander, mana burn's back. When you play this commander, this is back. The mana burn guy is actually something I forgot, but he's actually a really good way to get some interest in what the cards and your interactions it can do. Problem is that you're going to just abuse it a lot more and they're going to just hate you for it. But a card like this, pretty good because it changes the way that the players can attack. They cannot just keep attacking you. In fact, if the guy that's very aggressive wants to attack someone, he has to first destroy or take out the guy next to him, no matter how friendly he is, and then move on to the guy that he wants to attack. Really, really good. Okay, and last one. This one I was a bit iffy by. I mean, it does have a really good power. It pretty much means that anyone can win, depending on what they do with it. It's also expensive now. I got it when it was way cheaper. But it's Marlen of the Morn Song. 1 colorless, 2 black for a 2/3. Legendary creature elf wizard. Players can't draw cards. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player loses 3 life, searches his or her library for a card, puts it into his or her hand, then shuffles his or her library. So it pretty much makes you lose 3 life and go and search your library for any card you want, whether that be a land or any card. It helps people that want to have lands. It helps people that want to find a board sweep. The problem is that the game might stall out pretty soon after you play a card like this, but she probably won't survive for too long either. It just depends on what people think. If this comes out in turn 3, people might be happy to let the first 2-3 turns go around because they might just keep drawing lands and, get the lands out and so they can play their stuff. And then at some point, someone might just pick a destroy spell and destroy her. But you're doing the same thing. Everyone gets a benefit for her first couple of turns before she starts really doing damage and causing people to start getting their combo pieces. So great card. It's expensive now, sadly. When I had this on my list, when I got it, it was different. But obviously there was some broken stuff that came out in Commander Legends, and it didn't help. But other than that, guys, thanks again for watching. I'm going to continue with the fun series. I'm going to continue with some other series. And I really want to make sure that everyone understands or get what they want out of this channel. Thanks again, and please like and subscribe. See you guys. Have fun.